Hello, Elea.
Hi, Sophie.
You work as a project officer at the Interreg Baltic Sea Region program on the topic of innovation. In this tutorial, I will ask you a few questions about the program objective on resilient economies and communities. Resilience has become a term that we are coming across quite often lately, but what does it mean for our program, Elea?
Yes, it's true, and it seems that resilience will concern us even more in the coming years. Our program has an objective focusing on innovative, resilient economies and communities because this would be the starting point for long-term prosperity and a high level of self-sufficiency of the Baltic Sea region. From the program's perspective, resilience is the ability to respond to unexpected external disturbances, like, for example, recessions, health crises, or downturns of particular industries.
I think that listening to this approach, the COVID-19 pandemic comes to everyone's mind and how it influenced societies and economies worldwide. How do we expect the projects to address this major topic?
Indeed, COVID-19 is an example of these unexpected shocks, but unfortunately not the only one. And this is where transnational cooperation could make a difference. We expect projects to develop solutions to help the region to avoid these unwanted impacts. The projects can also focus on the way regions can withstand or recover quickly from these disturbances. The solutions that the projects will develop should in any case increase the innovativeness of the region.
So this means that we are not talking only about existing crises, right?
Right, some of the actions could monitor potential vulnerabilities or threats and help address them before turning into actual shocks for economies and communities.
Do you have a project idea in mind that could fit in this context?
One potential idea could be linked to fluctuations in the offer and demand of certain critical goods. For example, climate change can affect the production or import of agricultural goods. The project could pilot models and digital solutions to help certain industries to quickly scale or shrink their production as a response to the changes in market trends. This way, the region could use its resources in a more efficient way, apply sustainable production patterns, and find a balance between reducing dependency and connecting to global supply and value chains.
Based on this example, it is obvious that companies are one important target group for this topic.
Yes, the business sector is deeply affected by changes, as for example, many SMEs have limited human and financial resources to adjust their operation with minimum losses. The business sector needs proper tools to overcome any threat that could harm its operations. This means that companies, with the help of business support organizations, could be involved in testing these tools, like new or adjusted business support programs, risk management tools, or smart working solutions.
What about other target groups and the challenges they need to address?
Adapting to changes concerns several layers of a society and calls for cooperation among various target groups. We could start with the public sector, local, regional, or national authorities, or intermediaries like specialized agencies, infrastructure service providers, etc. These are the main responsible for preparing the transition to a more resilient and innovative region. However, in many cases, they lack tools or know-how to be proactive or respond to any disturbance, while policies and regulations need to be updated and adapted to new situations. The involvement of citizens through specific NGOs and scientific support from research organizations would also be welcome for the benefit of the projects.
Would you say that this topic refers to target groups linked to some specific sectors?
Not really. Resilience could be a target for many sectors. For example, healthcare, the food sector, creative industries, and the list goes on.
What about the targeted territories?
The program encourages project ideas owners to look into the needs of people living in different types of territories. This way, the solutions they will develop will be better tailored to the needs of their target groups. Projects are invited to also consider uneven territorial developments through their activities. In other words, the solutions should take into account the different impact that a disturbance can have, for example, in urban and rural areas.
How can transnational cooperation take place within this objective?
Whenever we face a crisis, we realize how fragile our societies and economies are, and the way out is hidden in cooperation beyond borders. Different countries have different levels of development and different ways to cope with changing environments. But when we are in front of a common challenge that has an impact on everyone, joining forces is the answer. A common and established innovative practice in one country could become a solution to be tested in another country, thus harmonizing the applied mechanism for various processes. For example, this can be applied in smart health solutions, or tools for businesses in recovery process, or in mechanisms supporting vulnerable social groups. The program encourages experimentation, so potential beneficiaries should think outside the box.
Digitalization is a very important horizontal topic for the program. Can it be a supporting element for this objective as well?
Sure, digitalization is a key element in the transition towards innovative resilience. This became clearer during the pandemic when societies and economies that were ready to run online were able to adjust their operation faster and smoother. Any unexpected event calls for quick and flexible response from various actors throughout the Baltic Sea region. Digitalization can be a powerful driver for public authorities, the business sector, research organizations, and citizens to react to these external disturbances, minimizing disruptions.
So digitalization is very relevant. What about smart specialization? How could smart specialization play a role in increasing preparedness and resilience of the region?
I think that it would be good to start with what a smart specialization is.
Yes, this would be very helpful, as this term is used very often, but its meaning is quite complicated.
In brief, smart specialization is a strategy which requires regions to define their strength when it comes to research, innovation, and business assets. When the regions are aware of their strongest points, they can base their development strategies on them and build their comparative advantage more effectively. And now back to your question. One key aspect in innovative resilience building is improving smart specialization capacities on topics and sectors in which the Baltic Sea region is already strong and highly competitive. Projects could work on testing solutions that use this competitive advantage as a means to increase the region's resilience. They could redesign smart specialization approaches and develop mechanisms, creating connections among regions with the same or interrelated strength. Projects can contribute to the region's common identity and sustain its economy in the long term. But we shouldn't forget one additional challenge: the high concentration of smart specialization processes in larger cities, leaving, for example, rural or remote areas outside this process. This is something that projects should consider as well.
This brings us to the end of our tutorial on the program objective on resilient economies and communities. Thank you for your explanations, Elea.